For the first time.
이거 너무 착한 표정으로 앉아 있었다.
먹을 거 주는 거 알고. 먹을 거 줘. Okay, here I am. It's been a very long time since I last streamed, I think, but I'm here. Today I have, let's just answer some questions, but mostly catch up. I just forgot how to talk to YouTube live, so I need a little bit of time to get readjusted. But how are you all doing? I was largely offline due to spending time with my dad, who you saw live last time. And together we did a lot of talking together. And he was using this computer that I usually stream on to do the sessions because this is the most like coaching or hypnotherapy appropriate room because it has a door that closes and it's fairly isolated from the other parts of the house. Hi Carolina, nice to meet you. It's been a long time. How have you been? Yeah, so it's so my dad's been using the computer, which made it a little bit difficult for me to use the computer because he was using it for his sessions. Hi Ryo, Chiba. And so I was in the living room doing my coaching sessions with my earphones on, and at nighttime before bed is usually when I stream and when I record my videos. But then having family over, we were talking a lot, and then having late dinners and things like that. So that left very little time for streaming and videos too, in fact. So and moreover, I've been coaching a lot of people on my time too, so it's just been a lack of time. And while he's here, wanted to do some cool things with him too, right? So yeah, that's how we've been spending our time. So if I'm to show you some pictures. Is there a good picture? Not really. I really should take more pictures, but I don't. But anyway, yeah, last Wednesday went surfing with him. It was fun. So surfing, the good part was I got to surf. But the less good part was the weather and the wave conditions weren't that great. And I was expecting it to be similar to how I learned last year because the waves were fairly gentle, right? And of course it was hard, but I rode quite a few waves last time. But this time it was different. The waves. Just took a picture of a random dog. But the waves swelled up really quickly and then it broke really quickly. So it felt a little bit dangerous. And it was my dad's first time, and we're wearing the rented bodysuits, wetsuits, and yeah, so my dad had trouble kind of riding because the waves were so abrupt and forceful, and even when we wanted to paddle out, the waves were crashing so high. I got wiped away a few times. My dad got wiped away a few times. But anyway, he rode one or two. I rode one or two. So it wasn't a completely lost cause. And my favorite part of surfing, and the part of surfing that I really wanted to share with my dad, was when you paddle out beyond the waves and you go to the tranquil part of the ocean. It's this really wonderful feeling of just like floating on top of the surfboard, and the craziness of the wave is just past you. and you're just there, right? And you're just like having a good time here, and it's so peaceful. And the water is actually really cold, because as you can see, it was very cloudy. But when you paddle out, the water also tends to be a little bit warmer, so it's this really nice feeling, right? And my dad was able to paddle out at least once, and then yeah, it was really good experience to have that. And he got to see these like birds flying super low, right above the wave, because the birds were fishing, and so they were doing all of that, and I got this to yeah, I just got a chance to share one of my favorite activities with my dad, which was really nice. And I want to really get a surfboard this year. So maybe I will spend some time with you going on Facebook Marketplace and searching for surfboards. Yeah, Torrance is too far. There's no way that people are selling Cybertrucks for this much money. But anyway, so that was this Wednesday, and my dad he also visited Palm Springs, um, by himself, and and then he went to Texas to meet his friend in Texas, and that was really nice too because my dad never really had some alone time by himself, but because he was here alone this time, um, he had a chance to visit his friend, which is kind of awkward for him to do when he's here with the entire family. And so he flew alone to Texas. Had a really good time with his childhood friend, and yeah, his childhood friend is kind of crazy. They went to middle school, they went to high school, they went to college together, and then after that, coincidentally, they both came to America, but just settled in different parts of the United States. My dad settled in California to do his studies, and my dad's friend went to Texas, and that's where he settled down. And so he's been a Texan for a very long time, and my dad never really got to experience Texas from the perspective of a Texan. He drove by it a few times, but never got the Texan experience, so he was able to get that done this time too. So that was another good thing. My dad also took voice lessons from my friend Jenny. So he always had this lifelong dream of singing really well, right? Because he has a very he has a habit of using a lot of his neck. He didn't really know how to talk from his belly, and use the like a deep voice like this. So at the end of every lecture, he would have a he would lose his voice because he was speaking always like this. And so having voice lessons was really cool for him. Another thing he did was a lot of drawing. Oh, let me actually show you. It was his lifelong dream to draw too. And so my wife happens to be a good artist because she used to be a graphic designer, and she went to art school. And so my dad had a really just a dream of drawing something specific, right? Like animals. He wanted to, in his lectures when he's teaching in Korea, he wanted to like quickly draw up some like animals, and then like say like, hey, this is, for example, this is a dog, right? So here's the wiener dog Dachshund that my dad drew, and then here's the other dog that he drew, and here's another one. And then after this, right, we were like, Dad, can you try using thicker lines and sort of simplifying instead of trying to make it like super detail oriented? And so now it seems more like a dog, right? And this one. And then from there, it just got drastically better. Yeah, started drawing all these dogs. so many dogs. More dogs. And another thing he wanted to learn how to draw was horses. And so more horses, ponies, I guess. And then yeah, he got pretty good fairly quickly, right? Hi, Denise. Yeah, and I had him do some line practices, and then after that some more horses. This one's pretty good, right? Hey, Francis. And yeah, this one. Yeah, so he ended up drawing a bunch of dogs, more and more, and he got the feel of how to draw things, and then he ventured out into some figure drawings. Oh yeah, let me do that. That was silly of me. Yeah, and figure drawings. And you can see the progress that he made, right? And so actually, let me record this part because I think this is really important for a lot of the audience. Let me see where he started. And I'll show you some of the drawings that I did too. Okay. Many people dream of having a really nice creative hobby, right? But when it comes time to do those hobbies, what tends to slow people down is watching yourself suck, right? And my dad visited recently, and one of his lifelong dreams also happened to be learning how to draw. So when he started drawing, right, and he just got frustrated because he didn't have the confidence to draw well, right? Which is if you really think about it, which is kind of weird. Because of course you can't draw well because you don't draw that much, and you can't draw that much because you're not confident in it. It's like a constantly self-defeating cycle. So, this is the drawing that he started with, right? And you can see the lines are very thin, and there are so many lines. And in fact, you can see it from my drawings too. These are some of my attempted drawings, and you can see all the unconfident lines that I made here. And I tried to make the outlines bolder, but I don't have the confidence, right? Oh, what if I mess up? Oh, the proportions aren't gonna look good. And so these thoughts mess up the confidence of the drawing, right? And so these are some of more of my dad's. So it's especially evident in this one, right? So he attempts to try to be more daring with these facial expressions, but then other than that, still very blurry. So, I say, hey Dad, we gotta suck. And we have to get over that phase of confidently sucking. And then something's gonna change. I gave him this advice because why? As a life coach, I've seen this happen so many times, including my own business too, right? So, these are the drawings that he started out with. And as you can see, these aren't that dog-like, right? Especially this one is sort of a nightmare fuel. Same with these ones. They sort of work, but they lack kind of the finesse. And same with these ones, right? And same with these ones. But can you see the progression that my dad makes? The more these types of confidently bad drawings he makes, the more he evolves into somewhat recognizable shapes. Because why? Experience tends to accrue fairly quickly when you make bolder decisions. When you make bolder lines, and when you make more intentional choices, even knowing that they are going to suck, the more they tend to help. And it is at this phase he started doing these like actual exercises that tend to be boring and laborious. But he can gladly do these boring and laborious exercises because now he knows what part of drawing he lacks in terms of technicality. And by the end, what he ended up drawing is like these. These are fairly consistent now because he understands what shapes and lines do. He's able, these are the earlier ones, but now he's able to venture into not just dogs, but figure drawing as well. And as you can see, the drawing of the lines on the dogs, it helps translate into drawing human figures. And so, he got this far with his ventures in art in just like 3 weeks. So, imagine, and I know that this is a simplistic kind of an example, but this is so widely applicable, even when we're playing guitar, even when we are publicly speaking, especially things like YouTube like this. I remember my days when I was so awkward in front of a camera and talking to you guys, and because I can't see you, because like physically speaking, I'm just talking to an empty room, right? And all these things that eventually grew out of me required this phase of intentional badness. And my proposal to you today is, the more you can boldly make those leaps of faith, the more you can boldly dare to suck, the more your creative ventures and your creative pursuits will have fruitful results. And I really want to show you this today with some physical examples. Alright, that was the recording. So that was good. Pretty good times. So he did a lot of drawings, and then after coming back from Texas, he did a few more sessions, and then it was time for him to go back to Korea. And he was originally planning to stay one more week, but he went back a week earlier because my mom was having a hard time without him. Anyway, today I went to Anguk Sunwon, which is Anguk Zen Center, and this is a temple in Koreatown, Los Angeles. But when you look at the outside, it does not look like a temple at all. In fact, it is this really quirky looking house. But when you walk into the gateway and then make a left here to enter, you see that it says 대한불교 조계종 조계 Order of the Korean Buddhism, 안국 선원, 안국 Zen Center, LA 분원, LA branch. And deceptively, this is not the main door. This was the main door. Oh, I don't think you can see. The wooden door wasn't the main door. The one on the right was the main door. Anyway, this is the inside. So it's basically, yeah, it's a medieval. It looks like a medieval tavern, right? But when you go in, it's like a whole repurposed thing. So this is called the Papdang, which is where Buddha sits. And depending on the temple, there's a lot of different configurations of the Buddha. But for this temple, we have the Buddha that you all know and love, Shakyamuni and Gautama Buddha. And here we have Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva with the 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes. in the side. And on the right, there is also some art. But what's important is, yeah, this is where some food and some ornaments are shared in front of Buddha for offering. And this middle section is where the head monk does the prayers and the services, and this is where he sits when he's giving the like sermon kind of a thing. And this wooden bell here on the left, and the bell on the right, and the big bell to the left. These are all ceremonial things used in the service, so to speak. And on the left, here's this. Yep, and you can get a little glimpse of the artwork here. But you see this little seat cushion. Those are laid out in the center, so everybody sits and then listens. So it's like a 2-hour thing, the service. And the first 40 minutes are all just kind of procedures. A lot of chants that are led by the head monk, and some are said together, some are not. And it's sort of like Catholic Mass. A lot of bowing involved. And then the next 40 minutes are Dharma talk. Basically, the monk gives us a teaching, and then the rest of the 40 minutes is spent in meditation. The lanterns are basically, this is a Korean event that we do on the day of Buddha's birthday. So every temple does this kind of a thing, and it says 부처님 오신 날, and it means the day that Buddha came, and it is a lantern that people can kind of purchase, but it's like a donation to the temple, right? And you make a wish to the lantern, so it has your wish and the lantern and your name here. And so each one of these are basically wishes that you give unto the Buddha on his day of arrival on this earth. And if you don't know, lanterns and especially the lotus signify Buddhism, because lights are a great metaphor of how wisdom and insight can instantly vanish 1,000 years darkness. So when a cave has been dark for 1,000 years and you light a candle, the darkness goes away in an instant, right? It doesn't take the darkness 1,000 years to get away, right? So that's what the light signifies. That's why lantern is significant in Buddhism. And the reason why lotus is important in Buddhism is because lotuses can bloom in any murky water, right? The water doesn't have to be pristinely clean. You can have sort of any kind of water, and a lotus will bloom, and it won't be muddy. The lotus flower won't be muddy. It'll be pristine, even in harshest conditions of the water. So that is what they signify. And if you go to any Korean Buddhism temple, you will find this. So for example, some other temples are this one. It's a little bit more ornate, this temple, but you can see there's lanterns here as well. And this one's another Buddhist temple in Los Angeles. And you can see this one also has these lanterns. And like I said, different temples have different Buddhas, right? So this temple has not Buddhas, basically different bodhisattvas. And the more ornate temples and the bigger temples have these like really kind of grand array of Buddha. And what this signifies, especially in terms of Korean Buddhism, is it's a symbol of Buddha's kind of like looping magnificence. So in one of the sutras, it says that when you meet Buddha, right? he shines gold. All of his body exudes this golden aura. Yeah, it's so that's the golden Buddha's like all the like Buddha by himself, right? When you meet Buddha in his eternal sense, he shines this radiant golden light, and when you look closely at him, he will have pores, right, where he sweats, and inside all of those pores comes out this golden array of light, and that's because inside each of these Buddhas pores there sits another Buddha, and that Buddha is also radiantly gold, and that Buddha also has pores, right? And in that pore, so it's this like infinite loop of Buddhas in its gold essence, and so basically, this all sounds like a bunch of bullcrap, right? Like, what the heck is this? Well, the core essence is this: to a person whose heart is so pure, and to a person who is so humble and is basically like the ideal Buddhist, he or she has no reason to suffer, and everything is so grateful, and everything is like they are in harmony with the world. That is the world that they experience in their heart. Because why? Everything is a treasure. Everything is a gift to me. And everything is basically gold. Oh, this blank checkbook. Oh, it's so valuable to me. I don't think, like, nothing is trash and nothing is bad. Everything is like a golden treasure to me. And when you're in that really pure heart, right? When you're living the ideal Buddhist life and you are doing good unto others and, not suffering, this is the life that you get to experience. But now, conversely, right? Suppose your heart is filled with hatred and all these reasons to suffer, and because of that, you distinguish between what is mine and what is yours. You distinguish between that guy's been good to me, but that guy's been bad to me. And you distinguish between, no, I'm right and you're wrong. And when you live like that, then, right, the world of the golden Buddha fades away from you. And your entire, life, when you meet Buddha there, it's like a shit-flowing river, like, burning in flames and things like that. So, in traditional religions, we tend to say that those are the afterlives that you will get to experience, right? But it's more like, in Buddhism, it's like, inside of your world, when you go inside of your world, when your heart is clean, the golden Buddha realm is the one that you will experience, because everybody experiences the same physical life, but they have a different experience of it, right? So for example, today in the temple there were like 8 people together, right? And 8 of us, while going through the same Buddhist service, we all have different experiences. For example, the things that I meditated on are wildly different from anyone else's meditative experiences, right? And the prayers that they say to themselves is completely different, right? And the things that are on their mind is completely different. And it's that inner realm and that inner world that this is referring to. So when you have done a good job of cleansing your heart and recognizing that there is no reason for you to suffer, and because of that you experience everything with gratefulness, because nothing is owed to you. And when you have that, then you enter the realm of the Buddha world here. And now, because your inner Buddha world is golden, you get to also exude in that like golden aura, and you become that Bodhisattva, and you become that Buddha, right? And that's like the ultimate goal of Mahayana Buddhism. The Smigol impression.
My precious. It's my gifts us.
Smigol. Yeah, I used to. That was a very big impression in Korea. Hi, Tommy. Do you like existential philosophy like the works of Camus, Jean-Paul Sartre, and do you think these philosophies can guide a person towards improvement, or do you think a religious guide is better? It really, I think, I believe that the existential philosophy, and you know what, in general, continental philosophy in general, I think is really good at helping you examine all these different approaches at the pursuit of what is truth, right? So, who was that person? So, for example, Kant and Hegel have very different views towards things because, like, number one, Hegel sets the tone for some things, and then because of this, the next generation can have a reference point of learning about Hegel, therefore has a reaction to Hegel, and then therefore comes Kant, and then there's this one philosopher that I'm thinking of, but I just can't. It's this continental philosopher who is very depressed. I think it's Schopenhauer, right? Schopenhauer has a very different view of the world, right? Because everything is doomed and like I'm grossly oversimplifying, compared to like Nietzsche, right? So existential philosophy helps you widen your horizons, and there's always something to take from those perspectives, and this is where Buddhism comes in. Buddhism tells you that there is no such thing as inherentness. And therefore, everything that seems inherent is only so because it is contextualized in a certain way within a perspective, right? So, for example, when you look at my skin tone here, it's a little bit reddish, right? Compared to the other parts of my face, because I was a little sunburned today. But when you compare this skin tone to these like red toys here, right? They aren't that red. So it seems like my face has this inherent quality of redness, but it is only in perspective to other parts of my body. So this looks like a hand and such, but it's only a hand when it's contextualized in a certain way. Yep, so there's no set truth like you say, right? So because there is no set truth, finding the pursuit of this set truth, this inherentness, is a futile endeavor, and that is the what Buddhism says, right? And therefore, what this means is that every viewpoint and every philosophy is meaningful in its own way, and every philosophy, every branch of thinking is kind of wrong in its own way. Because why? Nothing is inherently right, nothing is inherently wrong. So, does this, and this is where people get a little bit misunderstood. Does this mean that because there's no inherent thing in anything, does this mean that we have no point in studying philosophy? Should we just give up and not do anything because nothing means anything? No, that's the really kind of a pitfall that a lot of even religious people fall into, right? Because when you keep thinking about the reason for life, I think there are two kind of set destinations. Number one, the first set destination that I think is when you keep pursuing the reason for living, you suicide. Because why? The more you rationally think about it, the more there is no rational reason to live. But this is where the error is. You get to ponder about the reason for being because you were born. Therefore, you're born, and then you get to you as a byproduct of that, you get to contemplate the reason for living. It's not the other way around. It's not because we have a reason to live, we have to live, right? And the second set kind of path is in pursuit drugs. Because why? Oh, sorry. In pursuit of happiness, in pursuit of like attached joy. So, like, oh my god, I won the gold medal, it feels so good. Oh my god, I win $1,000. Oh my god, I won $1 million. And then I keep acclimating to the joy that my body can organically produce, right? And then after a certain point, when all my needs are fulfilled, everything alchemies, and then the base joyness kind of just comes down. And now, nothing really satisfies me. Like, all the sex I could have in the world, all the food I can have in the world, everything, it just starts to have diminishing returns. And so, how do you stimulate the body beyond its capacity? Drugs. But then the thing is, even drugs, you get used to it, right? Because the body acclimates. And therefore, you naturally lead to more and more drugs. So those, I think, are I sidetracked a little bit, but those are the two kind of guarantees that I see in my life. But now coming back to the religious better, right? Um, Religion, I think, is very, very, very important, and I'm saying this as an agnostic person. Like, I legit don't care if God exists or not, which is funny because I keep telling you I'm a Buddhist. I think in terms of Buddhism terms, and I follow the Buddha's teaching. I don't subscribe to the Buddhism afterworld, like life and death, like reincarnation stuff. So, the importance of religion is the ability to have faith. And that faith part is extremely important because faith is something that propels you beyond the reasoning. Faith is something that gives you a consistent reason for your heart to step one foot forward at a time. And I think even when you're not a religious person in the sense of I believe in a God and the afterlife of a heaven and hell, the important thing here is faith, the ability to hold it, whether it be to a supreme deity or yourself. I think it's very important. Yeah, I have not read The Myth of Sisyphus, but I will, now I'm interested, so I will check it out. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Absurdness of life is the truth. Yeah, that's totally a valid perspective you can have about the essence of life. Yay. Alright, so, oh, but okay, so I went to the temple and today I wanted to have tea with the head monk of the institution, right? But sadly for me, he had just come back from this crazy hike called the Pacific Crest National Scenic Trail, and apparently it is a trail that goes from all the way from Mexico to Canada. And I don't think he did the entire thing, but the monk did some parts of it. And apparently he's a very big mountaineering kind of person. So he went up the Sierra Nevada and he came back apparently very recently. So he was just absurdly sick and out of strength. So he had to rest. So I couldn't have tea with him today. Oh, Tommy, if you're interested in philosophy, I think the Overthink podcast is one of the best philosophy resources for YouTube. I really enjoy their work in terms of the podcast itself, but there's a lot of teaching materials inside. And this is actually how I got a lot of my introduction to continental philosophy. And both Dr. Anderson and Dr. David Peña Guzman are very good at explaining things. So if you're interested in continental philosophy, I can't recommend this channel enough. Yeah. Okay, so those are the things I have been going through. And you know what? Like my job's been really busy too. So I've been spending a lot of time with my day job, which isn't like my favorite thing in the world to spend my time on, but it's okay. Now, I had some questions that I accrued over. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, the non-transactional part was the relationship was also viewer request. So I'm always open to your questions. So let me know anytime you have any questions. Okay. All right. Okay. The question that I wanted to answer today was. I'm gonna start recording. Recently, I have been getting some questions from viewers and people on Reddit about feeling bad. And I understand that feeling bad is a very general term, right? And feeling bad comes in a few different categories. Number one is sort of chronic feeling bad because of past experiences that have latched onto your memory. And then another kind of feeling bad is feeling bad because of certain things that happened recently. So these things may hit you also at the same time, right? So as you can probably imagine, feeling bad doesn't feel that good. But oftentimes we rely on external conditions to change how we feel. So for example, I got slapped in the face and I feel really bad. So in order for me to feel better, what do I usually do? Number one, I need some time to pass. Because why? Time usually heals all wounds, right? Why? Because I get to experience other things. Number two is because I'm here, this elicits a reaction inside of me. And now I'm mad and this feeling wants to resolve itself. So instead of me getting hit once, now I want to slap you 5 times. And if I do that, my anger is out and now I feel somewhat better. So kind of reciprocating. Another option is like, but suppose it's a really big and powerful person who slapped me, so I can't slap them back. So what do? I can do other things, right? Kind of drink my problems away or get high or like try to eat something really, really delicious, trying to kind of overload my brain with dopamine. And so this is more or less how we deal with feeling bad. We wait for things to happen, or we go do things that we are going to layer on top of our feeling bad. But the thing is, suppose I have a leak in the water supply, right? And the water is dripping. And I can clean up the water mess for an eternity amount of time. But as long as I don't fix the original leak, I'm gonna have to continue to do that all the time, right? So, this doesn't mean that ignore the puddle on the bottom while you deal with the pipe issue. So I want to give you more or less kind of 2 approaches that you can deal in terms of short-term feeling bad and long-term feeling bad. So, short-term, something you can do, especially if you haven't done any of these before, is somatic work. So, on my YouTube channel, there's when you click my channel profile, you see there's 3 techniques to get you out of any negative emotions, right? And so, I'll give you a quick overview. The first one is holding on to an object that you can have in one hand. So you're feeling bad right now, and you stare out into space, and then you pass the object left to right and left to right and left to right and left to right. And as you do this seems very silly, right? But it's a somatic technique that when you focus on this activity it doesn't even have to be that long, like 30 seconds or 1 minute, you get to experience this kind of a brain loosening the grip on what you're feeling. Another option is this. As you're saying what you're feeling bad, feeling bad, feeling bad, feeling bad, feeling bad, feeling bad. This is also a form of brain overloading because number one, your peripheral vision is on fire because things are like moving here, and your language center is being overloaded, and you're kind of making the word feeling bad lose its meaning by repeatedly saying it, so it kind of feels weird inside of your brain. That's another example. And the third one is like something I call something that's called emotional freedom technique, EFT. And then these techniques can give you very, very immediate short-term effects of not feeling bad. But like I said, right, when you're not feeling bad because of this, it doesn't really take care of the original leak. So it's important to, when you do these techniques, make sure to follow it up with an action that you would do if you weren't feeling so bad. Okay, so for example, I want to go lift today because I haven't worked out in a while, but I don't know, I'm feeling too bad right now. Okay, so I do EFT, right? And then, oh, okay, suddenly, like, I feel a lot better. Oh, alright, time to doom scroll. Don't do that. Go to the gym, go do the thing that you were going to do if you weren't feeling bad. If you don't know what that is, probably a good time to think about what would I be doing if I weren't feeling so bad. Okay, long-term solution, right? Long-term, it's very important to deal with the issues that are causing you to feel bad in the first place. But there's different flavors to this, and that, let me open up Paint real quick. Not Facebook Marketplace. Okay, here we go. So, short term, one bilateral. Number two, squeeze. Number three, EFT. Okay, long term, and these are all related to the topic of feeling bad. All right. Okay, so long term, this is just a quick summary that I drew up for the short term, but for long term, right? It depends on this branching path, and what that is if this feeling bad has become a chronic part of your life. This means you are mentally and clinically classified as being depressed or having complex trauma. You have to recognize that even though on the surface, right, you may look all well and healthy, you may be physically doing good, but inside of you, the heart and the mind has holes in it. It needs healing. So, the thought exercises and the life coaching that I usually talk about in this YouTube channel is not necessarily going to land on you when you are actively in being ill. So when I say mentally ill, it sounds like this really big thing, right? But I want you to think of it like this. Your psyche has a cold. Not your body, right? Your body is fine. But your psyche has a cold. So when your psyche has a cold, right? And you're immunocompromised, a little smudge of germ is going to make you very, very sick, right? So what this means is, I'm this one person, and I happened to knock on your shoulder a little bit while we were walking on the street. So when my psyche is healthy, I can take that as, what the fuck, wrong with that guy? And then I can just brush it off. But if I'm not, right? If my psyche is ill, then and I get so irrationally angry, and I become so sad. And this all sounds like an exaggeration, but I feel so powerless against this other guy who dared to do that, and like I didn't do anything wrong, and the world is it's just one more layer of evidence of how the world hates me, and how everything is wrong with my life. And this is what people typically call the spiral, right? When you're in this state, it's the same kind of a stimulus of this person kind of knocking on your shoulder, but it hits very, very, very differently, right? And this is what I mean when I say ill. I'm not saying you're like cuckoo, like the traditional, like, aha, you're loony, that kind of a crazy, crazy mentally ill, which is kind of a fucked up stigma anyway, right? But when you are ill, just like your physical body, when you're sick, you rest and you give time and you give a lot of nutrients and you let your body process the sickness, right? Just like that, this is a very good time for therapy. And I have a playlist on my channel called Before You Start Therapy, which can really help you speed up the therapy process. So that is a very excellent way to pursue. Moreover, drugs, especially if your complex trauma is coming from your early ages as a human being, it does affect the growth of your brain. So it may actually be a biochemical issue rather than something that can be solved with thoughts, right? Thought work and coaching and dealing with your life by thinking through things and feeling things, they can coexist with drugs. It's okay. And I mean, I don't mean like shrooms and anything. I mean legitimate antidepressants and bipolar medications and ADHD medications if you want to. Those things can be very, very great partners for your life coaching journey. Okay, and suppose you are not in this category, but it has just been some time since you started feeling bad. Now, in this case, what you need to do is a lot of inquisition with yourself. And basically, the stuff that I talk about in this YouTube channel, life coaching questions. Why do I feel this way? What causes me to feel this way? If this wasn't true, what if this wasn't true? Where did I get this belief from? Because if this belief did not originate from me, where did I get this handed off from? And how can I think about this differently? And all these different kind of thought works can apply in this when your psyche is relatively healthy. Another thing that's very important for your growth here is your open-heartedness. And what I really mean here is absolute honesty with yourself, without shame. So, suppose you don't do something that you always say you want to do, right? When you beat yourself up because like, oh man, I'm such a procrastinator and like, look at this shit, like I don't do anything and blah 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 blah. Okay, so that is being honest with yourself, but not really. At the same time, you're shaming yourself, right? So, what actually heals compared to, man, I keep saying I want to do all this shit, but I don't. I'm such a lazy ass and I don't know how to do anything. Compare this to, you know what? The only reason I want to do this is because I want to look cool in front of other people in my school. And I want to have a talking point. Because I never feel like when I'm in a group of people, I'm never really recognized for anything. And I want that. I want other people to be like, whoa, Billy, that's pretty cool. And I want to be the center of attention sometimes, and I want to feel like I have something important to say. And that's the reason why I want to do this. But if it's not from that, I wouldn't really do this. So this is just being completely transparent and honest with yourself, right? And there's no shame to it. And this kind of sharing of your heart tends to be very, very, very effective. And it is effective even when you're. And this is basically what journaling is, right? But you know what really helps is speaking it out to another person. And I cannot emphasize this enough. It's so subtle and it sounds so trivial, but the more you do this open hearted communication with other people, the better you will feel. But what's the downside of this? Other people can be like, "Oh, you're such a negative Nancy," or like, "Why do you always have to be complaining?" And like, "I don't think like that. I think you're being unreasonable." Like, "Why do you think like that? Just don't think like that." So other people can interfere and make you feel worse, right? Of course, you can deal with that with life coaching, but suppose you're not at the stage where you want to work with the coach. It's important to have like the safe space, a bouncing idea of having to talk to someone, right? So for that is why I have this YouTube channel. So just join my Discord or leave it in the comments or email me at billyandjulylifecoach.com. Just say, hey man, I just want to talk to you for like 5 minutes, and I just want to share. I just want to open my heart, and cool. We'll just get on like a 5 minute Zoom call, and then we'll talk about like how you're feeling. I won't say anything. I'll just be like, thank you for sharing, and then we'll hang up. So these safe spaces, I think, to open your heart, I think is going to be something I'm working more towards. And for that, I would love your participation and I would love your input on how to make the most viable space for something like this. Alright, well, I hope this video helps you in your feeling bad journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, that was the video I wanted to make. Also, wanted to set up this thing called Ko-Fi. Okay. Now I'm gonna be doing some technical stuff. I wanna set up those like donations, not because I wanna get rich, but I want people to have the ability to donate so that they can pass their goodwill onto other people. I'm gonna share where I donate. Let me see. Add HTML browser. Nope, not this. Oh, okay. I need Today was a tough day. It was Father's Day, and I lost my dad to cancer last. Oh, okay. Very sorry for your loss. Yeah, I'm gonna pray for your dad real quick. 이러잖아 하무드라마니 padme pravartaya om amukha 이러잖아 하무드라마니 padme pravartaya om amukha 이러잖아 하무드라마니 padme pravartaya Om Namo Kavairojana Mahamudra Nipadmes Pala Pravartaya Om. It's a mantra called the Mantra of Light in Buddhism. And may your father rest in peace. Yeah, losing your father is hard. And my dad was just here, so I completely understand how difficult it can feel. But hey, if you're having a hard time grieving and you want to change your relationship with grieving, and we can always talk more. The prayer is actually more involved than this, but I need to say it 108 times, but I will do that tomorrow morning in my daily prayer for you. Wow, there's a text-to-speech thing. That's cool. Okay, so now that it was actually surprisingly easy to set this up. Now that I set the donation up, I want to quickly share why what the causes are that I typically donate to, because I donate to okay. Hi everyone. I set up this donation thing from Ko-Fi, and I wanted to quickly explain the rationale behind adding a donation link. I want to start accepting donations because I have some causes that I am trying to fund. Right? I want to basically, whatever you donate to me, I want to donate back into the world. And of course you are welcome to do it yourself. And this is kind of like a shout out to all the different organizations that I care about. So the number one, it's called Spill the Tea Cafe, and it is a mental health clinic for teens. In Hawaii, there is an epidemic of suicide among pretty much everybody, which is a really sad thing among the local community. Moreover, the LGBTQ community, especially the teenagers, have a very high rate of suicide. And Spill the Tea Cafe helps give the teen a safe space so that they are less likely to end their lives at such an early age. And second cause is a native Hawaiian organization called Aina Momona. And Aina Momona is a Hawaiian-led organization that aims to get basically sovereignty back into the hands of the Hawaiian people, and leads a lot of sustainability and land reformation with the with cooperation with nature, instead of trying to develop land and getting more foreign investments and blah blah blah, right? So Aina Momona is another wonderful organization. Third one is called Compassion, and Compassion is a Christian organization that directly helps a child. It's a one-to-one mapping that you can do with an individual child, or something that you can do is just donate to whatever cause is the most kind of dire, right? That's the option that I usually do, but I am thinking of sponsoring an individual child. Another one, Rabbit Rescue, is a rescue for rabbits in Los Angeles, Paramount, California, where I live. And they have a very adorable Instagram account, and they not only save the rabbits, but they also do matchmaking and a lot of information sharing about adopting rabbits so that people don't make irresponsible pet decisions like I used to make when I was a young person. That was horrible, so don't do that. And lastly, UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine is important to me because my dog had a very rare congenital disease that they were able to operate on when a lot of hospitals couldn't. So if it weren't for the advancements of medicine inside this veterinary school, my dog would not be alive, and I always want to pay that favor forward. Instead of helping individual pets is good. Covering for that cost is very important, but at the same time, donating to causes like big veterinary medicines that have like the technology and the faculty can be really good in advancing the state of veterinary medicine so that our animal friends, whether they are pets or not, can thrive and have a good time while they are living with us in this beautiful planet called the Earth. So, those are some of the organizations that I am deeply passionate about, and I hope you give them a chance to. And yeah, feel free to donate to me. And if you want to ask me a question about any problems in your life, I'm always here for you. All right. So I'm looking at Facebook Marketplace and this guy's selling. Is this a fake ID? It's crazy. Surfboard. For trade. Every time I go to Costco, I want to get the surfboard, but oh yeah, this one is what I'm interested in, the Costco board. But alas, West Hollywood is a bit far from me. Oh well. My pursuit of surfboards from Facebook Marketplace will continue, and I will let you know when I get my board and I hit the waves again. Alright, well, I've been streaming for an hour, so I think I will wrap things up now, and it's been a nice Sunday, and it's every time before I stream, I'm like, oh, what am I gonna talk about? But every time I do hop on, always feeling really wonderful after talking to all of you wonderful people. Hope you've had a wonderful Sunday, and let's have a great week ahead, and I'll see you tomorrow.